So one of the things we've been trying to do with Threat Connect is it's a broad platform, right? And there's a lot of capability that it has. And in going to customers and talking to them, we have been trying to simplify and talk about what use cases are we solving. So as we're talking today, you may hear me mention a couple of them, specifically about building a threat library, which is a lot of what you just talked about, right? This arduous task of pulling in together all of this intel that's coming from all these different sources and making sense of it. But another use case that's come up recently that we're calling situational awareness is a lot of what you talked about, right? Somebody comes to me and says, hey, your CEO, right? It's reading the Wall Street Journal and comes to you and says, hey, I just heard about this new threat actor called Emotet or, APT 29. What are we doing around there? How much of that do you find with your CTI teams? Like what you just talked about really seems to be around situational awareness.
Yeah, it's a combination of context of your environment and the situational awareness around the IOC. And that's really kind of the only way that you can garner a lot of value from that. And it's kind of like the easiest example I'll give is around if you have a server that's hanging off the internet and you don't care about it and it's just there, you're not going to spend a lot of effort to try and secure it. But eventually at some point in time, it may get attacked by something. So what's the situational awareness of what is attacking it? But also having the understanding that, okay, I've got all these controls wrapped around that server. I don't really need to worry about it. And so when you're able to combine those two things together, you remove some of the fear when an IOC is found, because that's really we'll go to the CEO example. Hey, there's this new bot network that's streaming across the internet, and that's really topical right now because there is a new bot network that's streaming across the internet and is touching everything. Well, you can take that situational awareness around those addresses. You can start to understand where it comes from, and it may not be known right now, but based on kind of the data that's presented through Threat Connect's panel of, hey, we're seeing it in these blogs, here are these security researchers that are seeing it, here's what we believe to be right at this time, allows you to remove some of the fear around those IOCs when they're detected, because that's always going to be the big thing for a security team. You've got a guy who's threat hunting and all he's looking for is a needle. Well, when only you're looking for a needle, everything kind of looks like a needle. It's, when you've got a hammer, everything looks like a nail. You just want to use it. And the same kind of thing happens with an IOC where you find it and now the flare goes up all the way to the top. But it may not actually be a bad thing that you see that IOC, because through the situational awareness, what you're seeing about that IOC may reduce some of the concern you have, but then you also tie that to the context of the environment, and it may not be that it's actually an issue. It may just be that you're getting scanned by a high threat IP address, which if you hang on the internet, guarantee you're probably going to be scanned at least once a day. But having that situational awareness around it really means that it's not going to throw a flag up all the way to the top every single day when you see that. And that's really valuable because each one of those investigations takes time away from your analyst to be able to perform another task and another duty. So you have to really manage your resources because not everything's infinite, time specifically not. And if you can reduce that, that is really impactful for anyone that's using threat intel, whether it be an engineer, an analyst, an architect, your CTI team. It just means that you can be better and more effective at what you're trying to do.
My last question for you, just because we've taken up so much of your time, is you wear a bunch of hats, and I love you've got this evangelization, you've got this technical, you've got this wherewithal of what's going on in the security industry as well. So clearly, you know a lot. How much time do you spend in Threat Connect, and how much? Because, like you said, it's a big platform. There's a lot of capability, and there's a lot of things you can do with it. But then also, it can become a full-time task. So, how much time do you find you're spending in?
So, I'm really lucky that I work with a lot of really smart people who have taken on the challenge of mastering Threat Connect. And that's through just kind of the knack that they want. I always joke that I'm non-technical, but I do love getting my hands dirty and rolling up my sleeves and getting in there as well. And so it's not an easy thing for me to say how many hours I spend in there. because it may be that 1 week, I'll give the example of that geo playbook. That was a great idea that came from need. A guy ran with it, took it to the finish line, needed a little bit of polishing, and I was just there as an advisory role. I'm working on a really interesting playbook right now around dead peer detection and automation and determination with probability modeling built into it. And that's something that's a passion project for me. So I enjoy doing that. I enjoy working on it and doing it, but it also inspires my team to want to do these things as well. It's kind of the art of the possible. You don't know what you can't do unless you kind of start to get that, mindset of anything is possible. So for myself, I'm probably in there at least a couple of days a month doing some fun things, whether it be, on my own time because I enjoy, doing those kind of things, or, solving some problems with my team and making sure that things are working tickety-boo.
Awesome. Well, Devin, thank you so much for your time today. Really excited about this and really appreciate all you're doing.
It was my pleasure. Thank you for having me.